try. I thought I was going to speak to like 25 or 30 people, but I didn't. That's what it normally is, so it's a little different. Teleprompter jokes don't work that well after the last election, but I didn't bring a teleprompter today. And what we might do here is let me talk a little bit, and I'll keep it under a couple hours, and then maybe you might have a couple questions. I don't know that anybody's ever done that before, but we can try it. If the questions are difficult, I will not answer them, okay? But we'll see. So anyway, Steve, thank you, and thank the Farm Bureau. I mean, you're the base of Ohio. Like the daughters were saying about agriculture. Daddy, you know, why is it important? I said, well, because it's the basic industry and strongest industry in Ohio. And I love it, and I know you do as well. Let's celebrate agriculture as being the bedrock of the state of Ohio. Yeah, so while we agriculture in its traditional sense, and Jim Zeringer was telling me I should talk about some farmers made money, others didn't. Well, look, I grew up outside of Pittsburgh, and I learned, you try to talk to a farmer about his business and you don't completely understand it, they shut you down in 5 minutes. What I'm going to say, though, is in your traditional ag business, we need to find more markets. If anybody's got a great idea about how we can find markets, we will do everything and anything that can be done. Dave Daniels is here, head of the Department of Ag, and Jim Zeringer is here. And these are two great ag guys, two great farmers. And we also have Scott Nally, who's the head of the EPA. Now, I know no one really gets excited about the EPA, but I actually was in a meeting where somebody stood up and said, I love your EPA director. And I told the guy, I said, you're going to be in the Smithsonian, but actually, Nally's doing a great job in trying to cut through red tape, trying to get ourselves in a common sense environment when it comes to the environment. And I'll give you one good example. Over in the eastern part of the state, where times are tough, over in the Steubenville area, there was a plot of land that the federal EPA controlled, and there was a company that wanted to open up a new steel company. And yet the barriers were enormous. Nally somehow wrestled away from the federal EPA control over that property. And guess what? In a very short period of time, the company is up and running, the land is cleared, and people are going to work. That's the kind of EPA director we want, isn't it? And that's what we have. So beyond the traditional agriculture, we have to start thinking 21st century. I just came from an announcement of IBM. They're going to locate 500 jobs guaranteed, and probably as many as 1,000 in what's called data analytics. And data analytics is the ability to respond in almost real time to issues and complaints and ideas for consumers. You see, I think that bio products, we need to really get moving on it. And also think about biopharma. There isn't any reason why Ohio, with its smart people, its academics, its water resources, can't locate pharmaceutical companies in our state. We have to think big. In your front line on how we do this. And I want to invite all of you. You know, we have this little task force that Jim Zeringer and Dave Daniels runs of farmers who think about what could be, not just about what is, but what could be. And if you have any ideas about how we can make the job easier, if you have any ideas about how you can become more profitable, if you have any ideas about the newfangled 21st century technologies, you call us. You call Dave, or you call Jim, or you call me. And I'm not that hard to get to. You might have to call a couple times, but you'll get through. Or just tell Fisher, and he'll call you, and you'll get right through. So I want to invite you to be part of this. When I came in, and it's important to think about where we were 48th in job creation. We had lost 400,000 jobs. Our credit was about ready to be downgraded by the major rating agencies. And we had an $8 billion hole. So we just sort of thought out of the box. We didn't think out of the box. We thought like you. We can't raise our prices, because if we raise our prices, we can't sell our product. So why don't we just engineer things? And I'll tell you the interesting thing about change. What gets in the way of change a lot of times? First of all, people are afraid of change, even though it is revitalizing and energizing. But there's another part of why it's difficult to change things. It's because people have a vested interest many times in keeping the status quo. And most of it revolves around money. So when we want to make changes, it's amazing how many people will stand up and say, we can't do that. Well, back to IBM for a second. I said, you know, you're an iconic company. You've been around for over 100 years. Why is that the case? Well, the reason it's the case is because we change all the time. We are no longer your father's IBM. Every time we get to an inflection point, we change. And the companies that change the most, think about it, Google, Apple, IBM, they succeed. And think about the companies that don't want to change. And I'll give you a perfect example, Kodak. Kodak actually had a digital camera, and they put it in the bottom drawer because they wanted to protect the film. That is an example of people wanting to hang on to the status quo for their own personal interests, and everybody's got personal interests, but also because there's money involved. And so we went to work on re-engineering the government, and we didn't play politics. I think you probably figured this out by now. We're not real big into politics. Straight from the shoulder, you see a problem, go and fix it. My philosophy is real simple. My dad was a millman. I grew up in this one-horse town outside of Pittsburgh called McKees Rocks. My mother and father are not alive, but if they were, my mother would be saying, Johnny, what are you doing up there with the microphone? Because it would have been so hard for them to see the fact that America can provide, not hard for them to see, but their own son being able to be successful. What we know is that if we can realize at any moment in time, life is short. When you get your hands on the wheel, drive the car. And when you look at a problem, fix it. Don't think about all the politics, who's going to yell and whine. If you do that, you get stuck. You don't do that in your farming business. And we can't afford to do it in the government as well. So by reforming this government and stripping out the politics, you know, we had 89 cents in our rainy day fund, and this guy used to send a check for 89 cents. He worked the legislature to double the rainy day fund. You know, today we have $500 million in our rainy day fund and a balanced budget. Structural balanced budget.